Hello, dear chess lovers. Very special day today, personally for me, as I got declared as the Chessable Author of the Year for 2024. So humbling, so amazing. I mean, I already made a video about this, so I won't brag too much about myself. It's a great honor and pleasure to be elected as the Author of the Year. And today I have a special guest, Luciana Morales, international master, full international master from Peru. I look forward to this episode so much with you, Luciana. So it's a very special day. You came in the right time. It was an intense day, a little bit tired, but I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. A very warm welcome to this podcast.
Thank you so much, Jean. Congratulations. I think it's such a well-deserved award. And what an honor to be here to celebrate.
Celebrate. Well.
Yes, maybe I should be interviewing you.
Exactly. Let's reverse the roles.
What do you think?
No, it's an amazing day. Of course, we didn't plan for it. They just came spontaneously. And yeah, I'm just very happy overall to have this discussion with you as well. I was so much looking forward to it. As you know, guys, Luciana is a, Chessable author herself. She wrote this book course last year, 2023. It's called the Queens of the Chessboard, which analyzed first 5 women world champions in depth. We will go and talk about this, Luciana, by the way. You should really teach me. Because, you know, we know so much about men chess, personally, but I sometimes lack this foundational knowledge when it comes to women world champions. So today I will be looking forward to those discussions with you as well, that you can enlighten us a little bit. Besides that, Luciana is a multifaceted person. She's also working on a book project for kids. And also she's the social media manager on Chessable, chess.com. And she did many projects before, including Fide Chess Academy projects with Yusupov and many strong coaches. You are really an inspiration, I think, for women chess, Luciana. You even played in the World Championship, Women World Championship in 2004 in Elista. So, well, she's a very multifaceted person, guys. I'm really looking forward to this discussion with you, Luciana. But maybe just very briefly, you can introduce yourself, your chess background, how it all started. Very brief, short and sweet summary of your chess background, please.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, the capital city of Peru. I have lived over there for 20 years. Most of my chess career happened during my teenage years. So as you mentioned, I competed in the Women's World Championship back in 2004. So that's about 20 years ago.
That's amazing.
And at that time I was 16 and
Wow.
I was, or 17. I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, such a long time ago, you know.
Oh, actually, when I played the championship, the World Championship, or was it World Cup? I was 17. But the moment I qualified, I was 16. Right. And that was a particularly productive, a particularly great year for me because at 16, I became a woman international master. I became the first Peruvian woman to qualify to the World Championship or World Cup. Yeah. And also, traditionally, those zonal championships were won by, I think, Brazilian masters. But with me, like, we kind of restarted. We started an era of like Peruvian, I think, domination. Really? Yes, in that.
Cool. You were the pioneer there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have, thanks to chess, I have had great opportunities. I was continental champion of youth categories, girls under 16, under 18, under 20 in different years. Mm-hmm. And eventually I won a full scholarship, a full right to study in the United States. This is where I live until now.
Still.
And I am still in the United States. And my interest for chess had a break. There was about 10 years or even more that I really didn't touch chessboard upon graduating with my master's degree. I fully committed to my public relations career. I actually specialized in public relations for nonprofit organizations. I've always enjoyed working with mission-driven companies, mission-driven organizations. And I felt that nonprofits and public relations were at the intersection of those interests and my studies. So for a while. I was really far away from chess. But actually, with the Queen's Gambit show, that spark, that passion for chess got reignited. I was able to be mesmerized by how realistic the show was in its depiction of what is the experience of a woman playing chess at a high level. And even though I really liked my job back then, I was actually a manager of community engagement and communication. So again, public relation related. My the next step was like, okay, let's look for jobs in chess. And one of the jobs that I applied was in Chessable. So flash forward, and I am having a short interview with Gil van der Velde. Then he wasn't the CEO of Chessable. He was the VP of content. And I thought, okay, I didn't make it because it's such a short interview. But no, luckily he didn't hire me for the position that I was applying for, which was copywriter, but he brought me on board, and I started, doing a lot of different things for Chessable. I was at first doing some customer support. However, since day one, I was also working on special projects, specifically the Fide Chessable Academy and also Chessable Classroom. So those are projects that are very close to my heart. And nowadays, I still work at Chessable, and I do social media content for the Chessable accounts in English and Spanish. But also, I am now in charge of the Chessable blog. So I'm the editor in chief. I really like that I'm able to do work that is related to chess, but also work that is creative. I think ultimately, I have discovered that, yes, I like to work at mission-driven organizations, but also I like to work on projects that spark that creativity, that give me that room to flourish in that. Yeah.
No, I will actually ask you about this creative and social media side. I mean, how come you're so creative? Because I keep seeing those amazing memes, those creative ideas on chess.com, right? I want to learn those tricks. I want to be more active on social media, but somehow I had this blockage when it comes to, what should I write here? But you always have some interesting ideas, like to engage people in the community. So that's already a very creative side, coming up with those memes and the community building questions. So that definitely shows your creative side, Luciana. I will also even ask you about Chessable Classroom later on, because I'm a coach myself. I'm giving group lessons. So I will also like to get your feedback about the strengths of the platform later on. You mentioned Queen's Gambit. Well, I watched it again, the second time, of course, recently. So it's all very fresh in my memories again. So an amazing, amazing TV series. So in that sense, you also started Chessable, let's say around 2021. Right, when I became the first time author on Chessable. It was the same year, actually. So we sort of started around the same year as well. And after 3 years, we are still here and loving this beautiful game. So that was your initial background. You were like a prodigy, to put it this way, right? And you got this amazing improvement as a teenager already. And you were, well, on the very top level and fighting in the World Cup in Elista. Right, you actually lost to Katerina Lachno. I mean, she's a legend basically. Like, you were there. It's actually incredible, guys. She's very strong. She's a very strong player, Luciana, and you can even see that when it comes to this course of yours. Because I got it myself. I also gifted a friend of mine recently to also brush up my knowledge about women's world champions, queens of the chessboard. Please tell us, Luciana, like, what was the process like for you? Or did you learn something surprising in this project? You start from the very first world champion, Vera Menchik, until Nora Gaprindashvili, right? You covered those 5 world champions. Tell us about the background, maybe, like how you started it, any surprising results. Maybe in the end we can even show some positions, either right now or maybe at the very end of our talk. I also want to show some positions because I found some of the games really instructive and very well annotated, by the way. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so the whole process was actually very long because I started writing these in 2022. Gift had given me the idea of writing about these, and I am someone who not only overthinks things, but also like takes a long time because I want to make sure that it's the best as it can be. And of course, this has a lot of positive things, but also negative aspects. And so the process took
Long
about a
time.
year to be completed. I am actually very proud of the result. I think it was very instructive for myself because I think like most of the readers, most of the chess community, I wasn't very knowledgeable about the women's world champions. When when I was studying, when I was reading, when I was consuming all the material related to chess as I could, I was, going through games by world champions. I was going through a lot of game collections and chess literature. And there was, of course, a lot of material related to Steinitz and all of the successors.
Right.
But there wasn't really much about the women's world champions. So myself, I didn't know much about them. I had heard about Vera Menchik. I had heard, of course, about Nona Gaprindashvili, but I didn't know that there were three women in between
Right.
them. And
Right.
I also didn't know that these three women in particular had such good games or that had such interesting um, sides to them, not just on the board, but also outside of the board. So this course really tries to reflect that they had amazing stories as people, but also they had very inspired moments on the chessboard. And I think it is something that a lot of chess improvers can find relatable because the well, first of all, there is no such thing as men's chess and women's
Right.
chess. There is
Right. Right.
chess that is equally beautiful and brutal.
Yes.
And both, men and women, we all get to enjoy it and play it. And yeah, their games are many times like these very intense battles. There are psychological battles. In fact, one of those women's world champions had such a fine grasp, I think, of psychology that I would compare her to Emmanuel Lasker. I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about the third women's world champion, about Elizabeth.
Bykova.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yes. And not only her, I also think that the other ones could also be compared to other legends of chess. For instance, I really feel that those players that enjoy the magic of Mikhail Tal or Daniil
Right.
Dubov, I think they would feel very much at home. They would really enjoy the play of Nona Gaprindashvili because she
Gaprindashvili.
was just,
Yes.
yes, she was just so creative, so insanely aggressive. And many times her openings were like, meh, but the strength of her was in
Yeah.
that aggressive drive and those brilliancies and sacrifices.
Dynamic chess with sacrificial ideas. Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
maybe, those sacrifices didn't really, like Tal, no, they were a bit obscure, but they worked
Absolutely.
out in the end.
Yeah.
And Vera Menchik also I found particularly inspiring because I'm mostly a player who enjoys positional chess,
Just like me.
and I
Yes.
felt that a lot of her games reflected a very nice, deep positional understanding, which shouldn't be a
Yes.
surprise because actually her um, one of her mentor figures was Gesa Maroksi, and
Right.
so he's the one from the Maroksi bind, no, that E4
Yes.
C4 formation that looks to restrict the space and the movement of
Right.
black when they play Sicilian. So I think that it was a nice surprise to find out how instructive their games could really be. I also, from a point of view of somebody who loves to read, somebody who loves literature,
Uh-huh.
I also enjoyed immensely how they had these stories about their participation in a war or their participation in other things. No, for instance, one of them was a swimming champion before becoming a chess champion, and
Wow.
then um, they also did this while they were adults. So it was really cool. I
Right.
think that the of course the at the top of the list of the things that I have learned and that really mm, that I'm really grateful for is understanding how much of hidden gems they are,
Right.
both their
Absolutely.
chess and their stories. And the other part was also finding out that their contemporaries were fascinating figures themselves. I was learning about a Cuban player who was kind of a student of Capablanca, very talented, very prodigious herself, Maria Teresa Ibarra Mora.
Yeah.
And like her, there was also this other figure, George Alan Thomas, who was a regular
I know.
contender.
Visitor of, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. He joined the Menchik club several times. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they were from the same club, and he was a person who was also very multifaceted, multi-talented. He was to badminton what Davis, the man who got to name the famous Davis Cup in tennis,
Yeah.
he got to name the Thomas Cup, I think, for badminton.
Really?
So pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool to
He's also Sir, right? His name title Sir.
Yeah,
Sir
that's true.
George
He
Alan
was
Thomas.
a noble.
Yeah, noble man. Join. I actually have one game. Maybe I can show you later. Menchik Alan Thomas. That amazing game that I shared on X as well. That you reacted. So I mean, just an incredibly beautiful game. That so he could also play. She could also play aggressively. You know, on top of all the positional squeeze
Yes.
that you talk about. She was the very strong player actually. Played against Capablanca, Alechin. She learned the lessons from them, of course, and she learned from their styles as well. So absolutely.
But she also got to beat some world champions, no? Like
Yes. Oh yeah.
Max
Like for
Yu.
example, Max Oive, right? Max
Yes, I don't
Oive.
know how to pronounce it. Sorry, but him.
Max U or something. I have to talk to my Dutch friends. Yeah. Max U. Who else she beat it actually? Let's see. Did she beat Capablanca or Alechin?
No. Might have
No,
been
not
only.
these two.
No, not those. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's absolutely strong. The other one, the second one, Lyudmila Rudenko.
Mm-hmm.
Did she learn chess when she was 21 or something? Like one got
Yes.
that, yeah? Quite
Yes,
late.
she was a swimming champion. She
That was her.
was not a chess prodigy by any means.
Right.
And then she got into chess, but she was also an engineer. So she was a professional, an engineer by trade. And I guess in her free time, she was a chess player. She,
Just his hobby.
like
Yeah.
her successors, she was a Soviet women's champion, a champion in Moscow, in back then Leningrad, and then eventually, yes, the women's world champion. She didn't get to play with Vera Menchik because, unfortunately, Vera's story ends pretty tragically with
Yeah.
a bombing. But
Uh-huh.
6 years later, the Fide or its counterpart back in the day, they organized this women's world championship with several of the best, most outstanding players of the time, and yeah, she wins. But the really cool part is that I think for me was that thing that she didn't start on a good note because she lost to the American.
Aha. Yeah, you mentioned that in the course. I remember in the Cold War era, right? That she lost to an
Yes,
American. Yeah.
yes,
Hard start. Yeah.
yeah. But she ends up winning the tournament. So,
Right.
yeah, it's
It's amazing. I mean, Vera kept the title for longest time, right? Vera Menchik, like 17 years.
yes,
And then
yeah, 18,
Gaprindashvili,
17, 18
maybe
years.
18, yeah.
And then Nona Gaprindashvili was the second longest reign.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's also amazing. I mean, and then comes Bykova and Rubtsova. How did you make this research? Like, were you just reading about their like life stories or somewhere? Like, what kind of resources did you actually use to get to know these champions?
Yeah, good
Like,
question. So I did a lot of deep dives on the internet and obscure
right.
sites of the internet.
Wikipedia.
Well, I think that Wikipedia, has some info, but there
Yeah.
is more. There are places with more information than Wikipedia. And then at some point, my former coach sent me like this book, like a PDF of a book written by Bykova, actually.
Bykova,
But,
yeah.
the women's, in a way, I feel like she's the the pioneer of the chess content
Right.
creators.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
you know
sorry,
why? You know why?
why?
Because she not only like she wrote 3 books about chess, one about Menchik, one about the women's world champions,
Yeah.
also one about Soviet women's world champions. But later on, when she was no longer, competing, she started. I believe she was a producer. She had some sort of involvement in the first or one of the first TV shows in Soviet Russia about
Okay.
chess. So
Aha.
that's why for me, she's like a
Pioneers of content creators over
pioneer,
there.
a trailblazer,
Yeah.
just creation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, such a special place, of course, in Soviet Union, chess heads. So definitely a huge part. And Nona is, of course, guys, you know it, yeah, from Netflix, Queen's Gambit. Like, she definitely played against men, right? Until she, she became a
And she
champion.
beat them. She beat them.
She beat
Actually,
them, yeah.
before she became a women's world champion, there is this beautiful game included in the course that I think
Right.
is there are several games that impressed me of her. But there is this one in particular that not only impressed me, but also impressed Mikhail Talen. It's told there in the course that
Yeah.
he had he had looked at this game and he liked it so much. He showed it to Botvinnik, and Botvinnik
Right.
was like, "Yeah, I would never think of that pawn sacrifice."
Yes.
Um, yeah, so she was really a really incredible player. I really recommend anyone
Yeah.
to look at her games. There is a lot
There's
um,
a lot there. Did
to
she also
discover
write the
there.
book Imagination in Chess, by the way? What was it? Gaprindashvili? I mean, I have to double check this. I know that I haven't read it myself, but I heard great things about the book. It's called Imagination in Chess. If I'm not wrong, there was Gaprindashvili name, and if it's Gaprindashvili, then it must be Nona Gaprindashvili, right? Like there's no
I
like a
know that
man,
she wrote a book
right?
that is very hard to find. I don't remember the name. It might be that.
It might be that. Okay, I have to double check this because yeah, if I remember, a very creative imagination in chess. Just come up with different ideas, like slightly outside of the box ideas. But yeah, definitely depicts her style. I mean, we can later show some positions, some games, but 100% very dynamic, very strong player actually. That she beat Beliavsky. I got one game that she beat Beliavsky. Like the art of burying pieces concepts, like in my courses. I was inspired actually when I was looking at some of those games. And
Actually, she also, I mean, yes, she beat
she's still
Beliavsky.
active,
She
by the way.
also beat
Yeah,
Tukmakov,
even Tukmakov.
Ulf
Yeah.
Anderson, like some of the strongest
Legends.
grandmasters of the time.
Yeah.
And to me, the Ulf Anderson game is very special because Ulf Anderson, is such a impeccable technique guy,
Of
He's
course.
such a stone
Titan
cold
from Sweden. Yes.
ironclad technique, endgame, positional play expert. And she beats him at his own game, like the way she
Yeah.
beats him is very patiently in the end game. I
It's
really like
amazing.
that.
It's amazing. Yeah. And maybe before we show positions, because I also have a question to you. Because right now you're working on a children's book, right? A chess
Yes.
book for children. Please tell us that. What inspired you? And what do you hope to achieve with that course? When is it coming? Is it this year that it's will be published as well? We should be
Yes, I would
watching.
love. Right now, we're talking about self-publishing,
Yeah.
and I would love for this to see the light in August or September.
Cool.
And what inspired me was that I'm a mom to a little girl.
Yeah.
She just turned 5, and we do a lot of reading. We do a lot of story time. We really enjoy doing that. And so, after reading so many children's books, I thought, like, you know what, it would be really cool to show her a book about chess, about maybe my story. And so I started to think about it, and I realized that there was there's this sort of unusual side to my story of how I started playing chess. Typically, it's chess. You learn chess at school, or through a male relative. In my case, it was my mom who taught me. And the interesting part is that, well, I feel like my mom is such an interesting lady. She traveled a lot. She speaks fluent Mandarin.
Wow.
She's she has great stories.
Yeah.
and she always enjoyed chess. Now, when she was young in the 70s, playing chess in Peru wasn't that popular, but also being a woman who played chess also wasn't very popular. So she didn't really have time or sorry, the opportunity to pursue that. And that is something that she always really admired. And when the time came, she taught me to play chess. Years later, she was very supportive of my chess journey. And nowadays, she's a very sweet, loving grandma to my daughter. And I thought that it would be nice to show my daughter like that side of my mom, how she was really into chess. And of course, this also ties into the overarching themes and benefits of chess. Now, chess is such a great game that connects generations. In our case, it's something that if my daughter pursues in the future, or even if she just learns to play, it's something that we would have played for 3 generations, no?
Right.
And so I thought that was a very nice thing to highlight about it, but also most importantly that chess is for everyone. No, it doesn't matter how old are you, doesn't matter your gender, where you come from. Chess is something that you can enjoy, that you can get good at, and maybe it will be also life-changing for you. So I really would like to publish that this year. So far it is a story where the protagonist is a little lion. And the reason for that is because my grandpa, who is my mom's father, he's no longer with us. But when I was little, when I was about my daughter's age, he would tell me, more than reading books to me, he would make up stories about me. And so I was a little lion, and I was a very adventurous one, and I was very brave and bold. So he had a whole series of Lucianita Leona in Spanish, say Lucianita, little Luciana, no?
Little Luciana, yeah.
Yes, so that's why the protagonist of my children's book is a little lion.
A lion.
Yeah,
From the...
or lioness, yes.
A lioness, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, so you're connecting generations in some sense with this book on chess. And the lion just wanders around the jungle finding chess, or then the story develops from there, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, her mom teaches her chess, and it stems, and a little journey stems from there. And I think it was a beautiful way to make a tribute to my mom, but also to chess.
100%. So you don't have expectations that your daughter will become the next women world champion with this, but just modest expectations of connecting the generations. And are you seeing yourself as this ambitious coach if she's interested in the game and pursue it like a real challenge? Do you think? Would you like to see her in the highest circles?
Of course, I would like to see her shine and become the best at any sports or field that she likes.
That she likes.
I don't know that it's necessarily chess. At the moment, she seems to be a very artistic child. She likes to paint a lot.
Yeah.
And I also I'm a first-time mom, so I'm also learning a lot about these things. But also, I have learned that it can be counterproductive to put a lot of pressure, no, to someone, especially someone so young.
100%.
And in the meantime, though, I am seeing young minds develop and become better at chess, because I've also started to coach some children here where I live, and I'm actually very proud. They're doing really well. Recently they won. Both of them won a tournament, each in their respective categories. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You told me that your daughter learned something like back rank mate or something. Like you told me she made huge progress suddenly. What was that? She learned something.
Yes.
She knows something.
Yes, that's right. So she used to practice a lot more before than now, but she used to do a lot of Chess Kid.
Right, Chess Kid, of course. Yeah.
And the puzzles, there's a lot of back rank puzzles.
Yeah.
So she knew to
She
do
knows the
the
back
back
rank mate.
rank checkmate, which always boggled my mind because I felt that it was really surprising how somebody so young, back then she was 3 or 4, she was probably 3, I don't know.
Yeah.
And she could do a pattern like that. She could recognize when that pattern could happen.
Right.
But at the same time, she didn't know how to move the knight.
Right. That's what you said. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful minds. I mean, they learn like sponges. So I have a son myself, almost 6 years old, and yeah, he was also celebrating today with the daddies becoming the Chessable Author of the Year. So, but I told him
Oh,
not to tell anybody yet because I learned like yesterday, so like last week, and then today he's like, okay, I can tell them tomorrow. Should I tell them Dr. John, best author of the year or something? Like, what should I say? But if I tell them Dr. John, they will think it like a medical doctor, my friends in the school. What should I tell them?
well,
So he
that's
was
so
asking me.
he's already
He's already
anticipating
planning,
his
if I
answers.
tell them Dr.
Yes.
John, what will they think?
Well, that's a great chess player trait. No,
You see,
he's
exactly.
thinking
He's all the
ahead.
tricks, He's all the mindset for becoming a good chess player. But
Yes.
yeah, cool. And I mean, you're also into literature, other books as well. Do you have any favorite like chess slash non-chess books that you want to go into that rabbit hole, or yeah, did you read yourself a lot of chess books, literature when you were improving? Or are you still reading? If I ask you this way.
Yeah. When I was younger, of course, I read chess books. I don't I don't read many chess books nowadays. I do read a lot of books, non-chess books.
Yeah.
Um, I read in English and in Spanish, and I love reading. Yeah.
Yes.
Currently, what am I reading right now? Um, I'm reading Mario Vargas Llosa.
Yes.
I
Oh,
have
you
it
have that already. Cool.
here.
Yeah.
It's
What's it about?
El Paraíso en la otra esquina. So Mario Vargas Llosa is a Nobel Prize writer from Peru,
Yes.
from my native country, and he has a lot of novels. This one in particular is about Flora Tristan. She's a feminist author,
Mm-hmm.
who was the grandmother of what Paul Gauguin.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, because I haven't gotten to that. You know, the painter, the famous painter who
Yes.
used to paint these very candid portraits in of women in Tahiti.
Mm-hmm.
So I had read recommendations about it, and I wanted to. Yeah, it's one of his most recent books.
Mm-hmm.
I was more familiar with his older
Yeah.
books, so I'm reading that one now. I also recently finished reading Murakami, a book
Mm-hmm.
by Murakami, and before that, actually, I read a book that I couldn't put down. It
No.
was The Suitcase by Sergei Dovlatov,
Yeah.
and yeah, I really
Yeah.
enjoy.
We are recording all this, so it's a great recommendation from Luciana. I'll be checking out for sure. Yeah. Sometimes, in the heat of our jobs, courses and so on, I feel like I should spend more time on reading. Mostly, of course, I'm reading science literature, academic papers. Sometimes, yeah, that also somehow connects to what I'm doing. But yeah, I would like to take more time and read like more like casually and whatever I like. I miss those days.
I mean, it's difficult, no, with the
Yeah,
full-time jobs, with parenting,
with
and
parenting,
any other
100%.
side projects. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but it's good. I think it's good for the soul, not to
100%.
read.
Yeah.
This actually, oh yes, you have like one of the, I think, best course titles in the whole Chessable library. No,
Yeah,
Crime
what's
and
that?
Punishment.
Yeah, yeah, of course, Dostoevsky. Yeah. Chess, Crime, and Punishment.
Yes.
Yeah, what was that? I think the original title was the boring one, like Chess Crimes. I always do that. I just come up with the boring title, and Chessable makes the final polishing, right? Like Chessable actually put the punishment in the end. And it was just ingenious from their side. It was like some type Chess Crimes. I just sent him that way. It became Chess Crime and Punishment, which I love in the end, of course. Yeah, and
Yeah.
same with other courses actually, a couple of others as well. So Chessable is
That's
great. Chessable is
well.
great.
I know, of course, that my Chessable colleagues are Amazing. But I thought that the original idea was yours.
No, no. I mean, of course, I read the book. I love Dostoevsky, but like, how can I not think about that? Chessable is genius. Yeah, also the chess elevator side. I mean, they come up with beautiful sides. So now my next course, it's on blunder check. On Chessable right now, it's just called the Blunder course, by the way, like the most boring title. People ask me, what do you think about the title? I don't care. Chessable will find a good solution in the end, like we'll discuss with Chessable in the end, and it will be like a nice sounding course in the end. But so far, it's just a working document, like a Blunder course, which doesn't sound exciting at all. But yeah.
I hear you. My next Chessable course
Yeah,
is right now the working title is Peace Placement or something like that. But I,
boring.
I know that it's not going to be published
Yeah, not
under
like
that
that.
name. So
It's
hopefully it's
unacceptable.
something beautiful. Like, yes.
It's like make the art of making your terrible pieces happy or something. Yeah. So the art of making pieces happy and shine. That would be a nice one. Yeah. So you mentioned Luciana. You mentioned Fide Chessable Academy. You mentioned. Let's move on this educational side of it because I'm an educator myself and. You're not involved anymore, right? This Fide Chessable Academy that took some years, maybe a couple of years. Your mission was to organize it basically with some well-known coaches like Yusupov and Shirov in different places in the world, right? People were just coming. Can you briefly tell us about the mission and what exactly you were doing in those academies, like Fide Chessable Academy?
The Fide Chessable Academy was an amazing project that spanned over the course of 3 years,
Yeah.
non-consecutive years, actually. It was in 2021, 2022, and 2024. We took a break in 2023. And the idea was to connect the top talents, the top youth talents from all around the world with
Hmm.
world-class chess coaches.
Right.
So for several weeks, several months, per year, they had online lessons in Chessable Classroom with trainers of the caliber of Yusupov,
Yeah.
Coach Ramesh.
Even Ramesh was there.
Um,
Yeah.
in the first year, there was Ivan Sokolov, and um, I shouldn't be blanking. This is my project.
Yeah. Such a long time ago. There are so many great courses out there.
They were like really cool coaches. And then at the end of each year, there was an in-person camp
Uh-huh.
for for the most dedicated kids. There were some eligibility criteria, no?
Okay.
There was a minimum rating threshold. And yes, as you mentioned, they were in different parts of the world. The first year,
Hmm.
it was in conjunction with the World Championship match between Magnus and Nepo.
Yeah.
So the kids got a chance to fly over to Dubai
Wow.
and work with Anand. Anand was,
Amazing.
yes, Vishy Anand was
Wow.
the main coach. And the next years we had Yusupov.
Legend again.
Um,
Yeah.
yes, in 2022 he was joined by Alexei Shirov,
Yeah.
and in 2024 he was joined by Judith Polgar. So it
Wow.
was an
Wow.
amazing experience for the kids, for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Also, in both cases, in the last 2 years, in the last two editions, the kids had the option to play an open tournament right after the camp.
Amazing.
So some of them actually did
They
that.
combined. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the case of one of them in 2024, they got an international master norm. So overall,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most incredible, most fulfilling experiences
Mm.
of job at Chessable, not to be able to be part of that chess journey of those talented kids,
Mm.
but moreover, really to help facilitate an initiative that helped so many kids from around the world, because
Right.
um, I know that sometimes opportunities to learn, to train with such high level coaches, and even to have such high level peers, is hard to come by
Right.
for certain for representatives from certain countries.
Hmm.
And as someone who maybe once was there, I thought it was just like super cool that you know um, to see that change, no, and
Yeah.
how technology now enables
Indeed.
those
Yeah.
those projects.
Yeah. So Chessable Classroom allowed this. Yeah. Just this amazing tool that maybe you can tell a little bit more about this, because I'm a coach myself. I have some group lessons. I consider moving to Chessable Classroom for my lessons. Do you recommend it? There are so many tools, right, in our disposals to get people involved, to quiz people, maybe give some simultaneous exhibitions, show positions, discuss. It's
Yes,
like a
of
real
course.
classroom, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I would say that Chessable Classroom is my Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend it to any coach or academy who that have operations online. So if you have any sort of remote students, definitely look into Chessable Classroom, because the availability of interactive features makes it really close to an in-person class. So
Right.
you mentioned them. There is the option to have a simul. There is an option to have tournaments within Classroom without having to go to another
Right.
platform. And there is also an option to quiz. I think this is very interactive. This is like such a beloved tool by both coaches and students. I get to hear this a lot because you can have those tests right away. You can have like
Yeah.
a position and everybody gets access to solve it in their own puzzle.
Yeah.
And the results are only visible for the coach,
For the
so
coach.
they don't get, the
Yeah.
students, yes, don't get to see who among their
Who
peers
did what?
failed. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is a really cool tool, and I would especially recommend it to coaches that work with um large groups, children. Um, it works actually for students of all levels, but I would recommend it for up to intermediate or players that don't necessarily need to have access to opening databases or these things, because Chessable Classroom can import material from your Chessable library. If you're a coach and you want to share with your students some positions from a course that you own or that you created yourself, you can do that. But you cannot immediately. You can at the moment you cannot use, for instance, the opening tree,
Right.
these things. No, so if you want to find ways to engage your students that, especially they're young and need different tools to make it interactive, Chessable Classroom is the perfect tool for.
I have group size of usually 4 to 5 students. So when you mention large groups, what do you have in mind? Like up to 50
Up to
students or something
49.
like?
Up
Yeah,
to 49.
14 up to 49 is the
Yeah.
limit. Wow, I
I mean,
didn't know
in
that.
reality, it's up to 99. However, if you do a session for 99 students, not everybody will have access to camera and microphone. So the
Okay.
reason I recommend 49 is because in that situation, everybody can have camera and microphone. So something actually I have not mentioned that is really important in Chessable Classroom is that it's the fusion of chess software, of
Yeah.
a demo board with interactive features, as we mentioned, with video call capabilities. So you don't need to have your board
Some
and the
extra.
screen sharing software. No,
Right.
everything happens in that one
That's
place.
good.
There is no download needed. It's just web-based
Yeah.
video call happening. Now, also, if you really need to screen share something, you can also do it in Chessable Classroom.
Cool. Didn't know that myself. And you can still write to each other using chat function,
Yes.
right? You can
Mhm.
write direct messages and so on. Yeah, I will definitely incorporate it more in my sessions. So that's definitely something that I have in mind. I can easily import positions also from my databases, right? From Chessbase or other places to Chessable, like a fan, and I can just keep on
A
talking.
fan or a
And
PGN. So
yeah,
Chessable Classroom works as a PGN reader, not as an
right,
editor at the moment, but definitely as a reader. So if you have any database that you have created somewhere else, you can
right.
transfer it, provided that you have saved it
Yeah,
as a PGN.
yeah. No, good for us chess coaches out there to know this resource, because many people actually don't know that, don't utilize that fully. I know that Johan Hesden used it, right? I used to see his videos on YouTube. He still uses it probably with his students, like
Yes,
successfully.
he really took to it. He really loves it. And
Yeah.
like him, I know also Grandmaster Alvar Alonso uses it for his lessons.
Okay.
Um, because of the Fide Chessable Academy, we also got several grandmasters to try the tool. I'm not sure how many of them continue to use it, but I know that they found it, pretty user friendly,
Right.
pretty easy to manage. Yeah,
Yes.
and many of them are used to other tools.
Yeah. This weekend, students, maybe we can celebrate my authorship with Author of the Year on the Chessable Classroom this time, right? We can just say,
What?
have a good party and fun on the Chessable Classroom this weekend. We will see. Which
Yes.
brings me, Luciana, to this creative work on social media. I mean, again, like, how do you come up with those creative memes? You're a very creative person yourself, but does it take like script? Do you think about that the day before? Like, what am I going to write on the social media tomorrow for memes, for best engagement? Is there science behind it? I know you gave me some tips a couple of years ago about social media tips, but I mean, you're the expert yourself. Like, how do you do all this? Because I saw some of your posts got like millions of interactions. So, what is the science behind this art or craft? If I ask you this way,
Well, thank you, thank you. I
because I was always wondering, who is this mastermind behind these memes on Chessable on chess.com? Now we know, guys.
well, for disclosure, both Mr. Doji and
Even Mr.
me
Doji is involved. Okay,
manage the Chessable account, the social
right.
media for Chessable. And I would say that he has been a great influence. When you have him
Yeah,
as a colleague, you need to step up your
right.
your game, right?
Your game. Yeah.
Yes. So, um, I I think that a lot of memes that have occurred to me nowadays, like probably, I don't know, a year and a half later, I couldn't I wouldn't have done that.
Uh-huh.
Um, so some content is thought of the day off,
Uh-huh.
and you can recognize it because it has to do with like something that is happening concurrently.
Right.
But also there's some content that is pre-scheduled. Um, I I do find it sometimes easier to do a bunch and then like
Right.
schedule them.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, well, and also I'm a very visual person, so I think that memes are easier for me to do because I just like and maybe it's also the chess player pattern recognition. No, you see
Uh-huh.
something, you think, oh, like that looks like this.
Uh-huh.
Um, I I am very proud actually of my threads because after all of the research that was done for the course Queens of the Chessboard,
Yeah.
I I also realized that okay, maybe I can do this for other things. And actually Gilt uh once again Gilt
Yeah.
had a great idea, and he um and these things that I do many times are me implementing his vision.
Uh-huh.
So he thought, like, why don't you do threads and tell the stories of players or of authors? And
Yeah.
that's how I ended up doing that. And I think yours was my very first thread.
Yeah. Really?
I think so. If not the very first, one of the first threads.
About my courses, like as a Chessable author,
There
like
was a
you.
there was a thread that I made. I think it was called Author Showcase. At that time, they ran an Author Showcase campaign, but we
Right.
also accompanied it with a thread on Twitter.
Yes, I remember that thread. That was so beautiful. I was like, wow, what an author I am. It looks amazing. So it was you who did it. Thank you so much, Luciana.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
so those threads are mine. The,
Fantastically
the
written.
memes. I feel like one day it would be a fun game, no, to see like which memes for people to recognize which meme was done by Mr. Dodgy, which meme was done by me.
Yes, please. That will be a nice A and B
But
test, sort of. Yeah. To
he's so
distinguish.
brilliant. I think that a lot of the text only, so there is no graphic, but just like
Just
something
text.
clever. Those
Mr. Dodges.
probably his,
Yeah.
yes. Memes
Yeah.
like things with graphics. probably, or like there's a bigger likelihood that it's mine. Not that we haven't done the opposite. Like, yeah, we also do that, but
So you come up
yeah, I
with the
mean,
idea, you also do all the edits yourself, right? With all these like graphics and so on. You're also doing it yourself. Like you have the, or you
oh,
just
like
have the
yeah,
idea based. You do the
yeah.
entire thing yourself as well, because that also should take time. You know, just you also have some skills when it comes to edits and so on and present it in that. I
Well, there
mean,
are tools that make
there are tools that makes it okay. So the
make
most
it easy.
difficult is to the idea stage basically. Like how come
I
I?
mean, I yeah, I end up like doing the thing also, no, the actual
Yeah,
thing. I mean, like as you say, the edits. But yeah, it's fun, no? Like it's work um that one tries to make relatable, no? Because I think that something that connects all of us chess improvers are those struggles, no? That no matter
struggles.
the level,
Yeah,
because um you could be like a I don't know 2100 rated person, or you could be a 500 rated person, but there are things that connect your
that connects.
experiences.
Yeah.
And I was particularly proud of one time somebody had made a comment like, "Oh, this 1500 player had of course you would say that you're a 1500 rated player,
Right.
not a not a complete beginner or something like that." It's like, okay, yes, I made it. I'm 1500.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
Oh, also,
yeah,
I think that things that have to do with puns. So, for instance, puzzles that have like titles. Okay, puzzles. I'm the one who posts them,
uh-huh.
and also like things that have to do with incomplete lyrics of songs. Like that's
Yeah,
probably me.
that's also yours. Yeah.
Yeah, puns also. A lot of
Also
the
puns.
yes.
Aha. Well, that takes a real craft to come up with all the pun idea. I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it just takes a whole skill set to come up with those things. I mean, well, there's probably, it took time, as you mentioned. Yeah, after some time you get good at these things, but it's still, to me, it's just incredible creativity. And
Thank you.
like the one that I saw recently, right? The one maybe you sent it. Tell me the opening you played last year, and tell me whether you're naughty or good, or something like that.
Those the community building questions. So actually, the very first one, Chessable did one a couple years ago, and that was Mr. Dodgy.
Right.
And then it wasn't that whole dynamic or game wasn't touched for a while, and then I started trying it in my personal account, like give me a book recommendation, and I'll recommend a new opening.
Uh-huh.
And even though it was in my personal account, like it became very
Spread.
popular. So then we tried to do more Chessable, and now we're also trying to do that at chess.com. No? So the
Yeah.
one that I showed you, that was the Christmas activity
Right.
on chess.com.
Yeah.
So we may or may not have a Valentine's activity coming up.
Yeah, because those questions people tend to answer, right? Like you get traction basically from like, tell me your
Yes,
opening and I will tell you. I mean, and you respond to each and every comment basically, right? It's
yes,
just
yes. Because
wow.
I really like it. Actually, Jean, I have discovered that I don't know, I have a knack for um assigning characteristics or understanding people's characters
Through their
I
opening
don't know,
choices.
through their openings or through their play. So the way that I would like summarize it, and I have it fresh because I wrote it for something somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, openings are how is it? Openings are windows to the soul of people.
Right.
So yeah, I
See
don't know.
inside the
It's like
soul.
like a very fun thing for me, I think.
But it is like that. Openings are actually quite personal, right? Like we just
No,
identify ourselves with our opening choices. And yeah, that's a very good catch. So
yeah,
it's
and
beautiful.
for me that I like, for instance, the French, I am trying to also find associations. At first, on chess Twitter, there was a lot of talk about the Benoni and how that was for somebody who was, I don't know, um,
Son of sorrow, like
yeah,
Griffith
somebody
says.
who really liked punishment or
Yeah.
had low self-esteem, no? And I play the Benoni. I used to play the Benoni a lot, so
Okay.
I'm in that Benoni bunch, as I call it.
World of
But
pain. Yeah.
But then I realized that also my other openings can be like categorized in very funny groups, no? Like even the French is for Stoics. The French is for
French is for Stoics. Never heard of it before, actually. French is for Stoics. Now I'm thinking through with you. Yeah? Are they like, what's the Stoic connection to French, I wonder? Is it
because
because of their
sometimes you get like positions where you're just there.
sitting there and doing nothing and just
Yes,
waiting and right. You have to be like the very calm person in long-term benefits of your
yes,
bad French bishop. One day it will be a good piece
day,
on
yes.
trade row. I see.
Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely. I mean, there are some crazy ones, Evans Gambit, King's Gambit players, you know, they're quite different stylistically than some
Oh,
of the
the
choices.
naughty ones.
The naughty ones I saw. I looked at a couple of answers of yours. Yes, King's Gambit is naughty. Evans Gambit, Alien Gambit is like the naughtiest. There's no salvation out of this world. Naughty and something. Yeah, just amazing comments I see there. So it's so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So should we like show a couple of positions, Luciana? Like I have a
Sure.
couple of games from this from your course. And maybe I can just share my screen with you because you mentioned Gaprindashvili, you also mentioned Vera Menchik. We actually mentioned together how Sir Alan George Thomas just joined this Menchik club, right? Like I have to at least briefly show you that just to see the screen share option. So it's coming, hopefully. You're seeing my screen, right? If I do this, you
Yes.
don't see the moves. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Oh yeah. Why is it so slow, I wonder? Let me see. Yeah, I think it will be faster right now. So in this game, guys, very briefly I will show you Vera Menchik versus Sir Alan George Thomas. And please watch this game. I might even make a video about this later on my channel. It's like same-ish against the King's Indian. Vera Menchik, positional style player, right? She's playing for space and so on. And already here, d5, space gaining move. Black is going backwards, so white intensifies the space advantage, comes g4, while white wants to attack the king side, preparing the storm. The final phase of this game is so beautiful, also about pawn storms. This rook g1 move as well is beautiful, potentially eyeing for the opening of the g file. You might wonder how, and she will tell us very soon. Castle long. Now everything is set, yeah, for attacks on different flanks. So we'll see some violence right now, very soon. It's just a beautiful middle game position. Knight g3. The point of rook g1 start to become visible to a strong player's eye, and she will see the point of this move quite soon. h4, a4, h5, of course, right? Harry meets Gary. Queen b8. Slow move. The queen is also leaving the king side, and bishop h6. The art of exchanging pieces, right? The bishop will be gone on g7, the main defender. So she's already showing some of those strategic understanding. And then I think maybe probably here, yeah, somewhere on here, she will make this very typical move, if I'm not wrong. This typical attacking pattern that if you've never seen it, it's difficult to come up with that move. But once you know the pattern, I think it becomes obvious. It's about this knight and rook, and to activate the rook somehow on the g file. When the king's castle on opposite flanks, we want to play for activity, right? Dynamism. And sacrifice becomes an option. Maybe after I said all these things, maybe she makes a different move. Let's see. Yes, I was correct. Because I don't see the moves, right? I'm just guessing because I was sometime I checked this game. You see, she's going for knight f5 sacrifice, guys. What's the point? Well, after they take the knight, she wants to open up the rook on the g file. So her attack is coming first, probably. Knight takes f5. If he takes back with the pawn, right? This is actually quite dangerous for the black king. We see the point of rook move on g1 as well. Mysterious looking rook move will be the end of the game probably after queen h6. If I'm not wrong, Luciana, correct me. These two ideas, I think, just game over, yeah? Like rook g8, queen f6,
Queen f6.
and mate to follow, yeah? So just beautiful. Standard attacking pattern, knight f5 sacrifice. She's already showing us this. Takes. Now we see the rook being happy as well, right? That's why she exchanged the knight on f5. One step closer. a3. Of course, he wants to open up lines on the queen side, obviously. He has to go for an attack. But the problem is white attack is coming a little bit before than black's in this case. And I think even the next move, if I'm not wrong here, is quite nice. So followers, you can stop the video here and think for yourself already. You might be looking at the move b3, by the way. you want to keep the queen side closed. But I think black has one little resource if you play the move b3. Now I'm just thinking with you, by the way, Luciana. Maybe you can tell us, Luciana, like, what's wrong with b3, right? Like, white wants to close the queen side before she goes for the action on the king side. Do you see any drawback to this move, b3, I wonder?
Yeah, I think that in a game, this offers a practical chance, no, of knight takes b3,
Right.
takes b3, a2, and whether or not this helps
100%.
black survive.
Yes.
The point is that they have allowed like some, not
Counterplay.
so
Yes.
pleasant interactions. So
Exactly.
I think that route that she went for was very smart.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, the move is f6, guys. Let's see. Yes, look at that. f6 is a beautiful calculation too. The first point is, of course, this, right? Queen g5 check. This comes with check. And then the very typical queen f6, followed by queen g7 mate. King h8 doesn't change anything because of the same. So this f6, first of all, you can't take my pawn. That's the first point. Well, the second point is, of course, is to create this pawn on f6, which is called a fishbone pawn, by the way, Luciana, right? Fishbone pawn, like a fishbone on the throat, on the black king. So she already creates one.
That. Today I learned that.
Yes, fishbone pawn is created, another attacking pattern, and she's going for it, guys. Yeah, queen h6, of course. Now comes my key question. I made a video about this. Should we take the pawn, or should we play something else in this position? The followers of my channel, you know this concept. It's called the umbrella, right, Luciana? I love this move. King b1. Well, this pawn is only a shield, like an umbrella covering my king, and there is no more checks to be given to you. This queen is harmless. There is nothing to worry about for the white's king safety. And now her very point is very simple. I will mate you first on the king side. In fact, he has nothing to do besides rook g8. Of course, the first one is very logical. She's opening up the h-file with this move. And then comes my question. White to play and min, guys. Alan George Thomas is joining the Vera Menchik club. He's entering the club in 2 moves, or maybe on the next move. It's another checkmate pattern for you, right? There's a course on Chessable, checkmate patterns manual, beautiful one. And you're a great player if you found the move, queen h7. What a beautiful finish this is, right? And he resigned actually after this, because it will be mated. You see the effect of the fishbone pawn, Luciana, right? Just choking the black king like that. It's a beautiful motif as well. It's a beautiful game, right? Just from start to finish, like she's following a certain plan. Already from rook g1, she's highlighting this. And this knight g3 also makes perfect sense in conjunction with rook g1. And knight f5 pattern is a second very crucial pattern in those structures to quickly open up the g-file for your pieces. Exchanging pieces as well. Yes, she's even showing us more strategic ideas when it comes to attack. So I was very impressed when I saw this one from Vera Menchik. Was it also in your course, by the way?
Sorry?
Was this game also in your course? Maybe that was my own. That's also there. Perfect.
So
yeah, you had to get this
I find that
one.
she was a very good positional player, and also it was as if she understood where pieces needed to go, no? So that maneuver that you show there, like the rook g1, the knight f5,
amazing.
the bishop to h6, those are good examples. There are more in other games. But I think that in general, she was great at positional understanding, and she used it to have, to build up attacks, no? It's not just positional, I don't know, Wolf Anderson style. It was more like positional, but with the intention to attack, which is what you mentioned before
100%.
this call. Yes, she was positional aggressive. Maybe that's a good label.
Yes, 100%. Like even the second game that I found here against this in Women World Champion, right, in 1927. This was also quite a nice one, if I'm not wrong. This is like a positional squeeze, yeah? I also played this way as white, by the way, so she's choosing my opening against the King's Indian, right? This boring fianchetto. And she shows this beautiful positional style again, like this h3 again, just, space gaining, limiting move as well, just multifunctional, stopping bishop g4s and so on. Already starts from here, yeah? The space gaining move again. She likes to take space. And the second point of this move is, of course, is to support knight d4 at some point. And look at the knight on b8. The art of burying pieces already starts here, slowly. Queen d2, connecting your rooks. Yeah, very harmonious play actually. Rook d1, knight b5. Yes, black wants to exchange some pieces because they are lacking space, but the problems remain actually in this position. Because knight e4 is coming soon. And again, if you look at the space advantage of white, black's pieces are restrained, right? e5 will also leave this pawn as a big pawn after en passant, let's say, will activate my bishop. You see the function of the bishop, like stopping all these ideas as well, prophylactically. And white now has more space. And look how she converts, like slowly mirroring the queen to weaknesses on the queen side, you know, without taking much risk. This bishop is quite well protected. There are no knight g4 business. Yeah, the point of h3 as well. So slowly she starts this Kasparovian move, king h2, like tucking the king just in case, you know, just defending h3 pawn as well. So very nice positional ideas. And this next phase is quite nice. Like this one can go to my course, for example, the art of exchanging pieces. Yeah, she plays the move queen c7, if I'm not wrong. Yes. Why? Because she wants to invade the 7th rank with the rook as a result of this trade. So she's sort of transforming the advantage by trading those queens. Long-term weaknesses become more exploitable, basically. And I get a good rook on the 7th rank, and she will double up very, very soon, yeah? So I very much love this game. It looks like the rook might be trapped on c7, of course. She calculates that phase. b4 chases knight, so my rook won't get trapped. And yeah, rook c1, yeah? Very, very similar, like, logical move again. Just, you know, it's a symmetrical pawn formation. So why is white so much better? Well, piece activity difference. So, and even the final phase, I think it's quite nice. Yeah, this phase is quite nice. It's about
really
your course,
like
Luciana, right? My worst place piece. Give task to all of your pieces. Look at the bishop. That's your worst place piece. Does nothing. And she's giving a nice function to that piece by moving it to c2 first and then to b3. I love this. I love this phase as well. Yeah, it's how she dominates that knight on b6 still. And the bishop has improved, still stopping all these e6 ideas. And now comes the next phase. She keeps rooks on the board, by the way, because of extra space. And now this bishop is quite sad. And now we are entering this final phase, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this knight e6, right? Look at this. Look at the transformation of the advantage. Because of the knight problem, this exchange will be beneficial for white. This phase is pure calculation in some sense. She takes the knight with tempo on the rook. So either black is losing an exchange or they try this move, bishop f5. And if I'm not wrong, she actually calculates the segment quite nicely. So you can maybe stop the video, guys, and find the winning continuation for white in this position. It's been a while since I saw this, but I think I'm correct with this, yeah? She takes the d8 rook first and then bishop c7 key move. Let's see. Yes, that's the correct move. And after this comes the key move, bishop c7, yeah? This intermediate attack on the rook, because I will capture rook on the next turn, bishop on the next turn, while defending my bishop on c7. Black is losing material, yeah? And I guess she resigned in this position, right? Yeah. She resigned in this position. It's an amazingly beautiful positional game. I was very impressed when I saw this one, actually. So really, really like positional style, squeeze, without taking much risks and just placing the pieces on good squares.
I really think that this game in particular is a great example of her positional intuition. And in this, if I'm not mistaken, this game was played in the very first Women's World Championship, where several women also participated, and she emerged winner with like an insane score. I think she only conceded one draw.
Really? Wow. Okay. Yeah, feels like, you know, one of those Botvinnik games, because Botvinnik also played this as white, yeah? This fianchetto against the king's internet. It just looks like one of those Botvinnik squeezes, basically, with white. So definitely a game that is worth spending some time. And Vera Menchik being a very strong player, the longest reigned world champion. And when it comes to Rudenko, that game also interested me, right? So this, if I'm not wrong, she was like more attacking player. And already that's a Carlsbad structure, very typical also still in the current days, right? Bishop b3 setup, c3. And already I think black will make a mistake. Even h3, right? It's actually quite interesting. It's just, she's fighting against the bishop g4 ideas. So she sort of expects black to play e6, which she does. Is it she or he? Yes, Mary. She's playing against Mary Bruce. And after this e6, the bishop becomes a bad piece. And now she will basically exploit this for the rest of the game. In a very masterful way, I would say. At some point, she will combine this into an attack on the king's side, if I'm not wrong, by the way. Very nicely. h6, again, wasting time. She wants to stop bishop g5 probably. So rook e1, all the standard moves for white in this Carlsbad formation. Knight e5, well, she wants to place a pawn on e5 and also maybe get this knight slowly, yeah, to f3 to support the other knight on e5. Very typical. Bishop e5, again, dubious, giving up the bishop. This pawn will be huge. And the f6 knight is leaving the king side, which means the king side is becoming more lonely, right? And I think already here, the next move is quite nice, like multifunctional. This pawn is, let's say, under fire. And there's also this pressure on h6, potentially, right? And we want to get the queen in the zone. That's what she does, yeah? Yeah, I was right with this. Queen h5. And maybe already, yeah, next phase is quite logical for some of you guys. You can stop the video here and maybe tell us what she played in this position with white. At least there's a promising idea, don't you think, Luciana, on the king side? When it comes to...
Yes, I mean, you have your pieces already targeting
right.
those.
Targeting the king side, even rook e3 ideas and so on. Yeah, bishop h6, guys. The standard bishop sacrifice. You see how many standard attacking ideas we saw so far in these couple of games. And the king is lonely. That's the problem. Bishop, queen, and even the rook is coming now. Black has no chance, I believe, yeah? Rook e3. It's funny, she doesn't even need these two pieces so far on the queen side. Yeah. And even the next phase, right? Is it h4, h5? Yeah.
Yeah.
H4, h5 is coming. Black has no moves, basically, to safeguard their king. No queen trade options. It's quite amazing. The knight is still on b1. And the game is sort of finished. Well, a blunder check exercise for us. Can we take that knight, folks? Or is it a blunder? That's a blunder because of the alignment. Be careful. I guess finally, yeah, the final piece should join the game slowly. Because black has no threats on her own. That's the problem. So white can take her time to slowly get the pieces to the king side. Just like here. Nice. And now, of course, you can take the knight. You get the piece back plus interest. Yeah, white is actually have a couple of extra pawns right now. The king is also lonely. The game is over, I guess. Knight h7 is coming. Yeah. That's how the game ended, yeah? Quite a beautiful mate in the end. Yeah, so Rudenko, was she the
Very
one?
aggressive player, yes.
Very aggressive player, yeah, in general, aggressive style. She likes this style of going for attacks. Was she the one who was a swimming champion and then moved to chess? Yes.
And then a few years back, Google had a doodle of her. She was the one that came up in the...
Really? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's the word? In the Google Doodle, in the homepage of
Yeah.
Google. But more interestingly, she had a very instrumental role in designing a plan to evacuate some kids from a city that was occupied by enemy forces.
Really?
So
didn't know that. Yeah.
I found that quite inspiring, that for all of her chess accomplishments and all of her professional and swimming accomplishments, she always thought that was the highlight of her life, no?
Amazing.
To save those kids.
Yeah. I can imagine those times that they were living. Yeah, respectable. Very, very respectable activities, yeah. I mean, again, just reading those stories also, to me, it's eye-opener, yeah? Like, I need more info on this, on when it comes to chess culture and so on. So your course also highlights those stories of these women world champion, not only the games and moves, but also some stories from their lives and research you did. Yeah.
Yes, and I think another great resource is Jennifer Shahadi's Chess Queens.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a couple of people in chess that are my absolute heroes, that are like people I look up to and I feel very inspired. Yusupov is one. Yeah. And another is Jennifer Shahadi. You know, Absolutely. She's incredible. She's
incredible. I would like to host her again.
She's such a great writer too. I couldn't aspire to be half as good as her. And definitely she has some great stories about those women's world champions and also other champions in her book, Chess Queens.
Chess Queens, 100% recommended as well. Yes, that was published last year, right? Or maybe in the previous one, she published that
Chess Queens.
Yeah, it came
I think. No, the one published last year was another excellent chess book by her. It's called Play Like a
Play like a champion.
like a champion.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, 100%. Yeah, she's very productive. Also, in she plays poker. Yeah, she also does so many activities at the same time. But yeah, she's also writing a blog post, by the way. Quite nice. I also follow her blog.
Oh yes, her
Yes,
Substack.
her
Yes.
Substack. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's very active. At some point, I would like to invite her if she accepts. That will be a joy for me to talk to her. And
Oh no, good. I am looking forward already to that episode.
yes, yes, that would be fantastic to host her at some point. We are following each other on Twitter, and she liked me being an author of the year. I saw it today, so yeah. So we sort of have contact. Yeah. Already here, by the way, when it comes to this game, right? You see the mistake of knight b3, which is sort of causing the demise for black. Like again, like one of those strategic exchange decisions that they should keep a knight on d4 in its position. The close Sicilian again. Just look how relevant those positions are still at this day and age. And even this entire maneuver of knight c1 and so on, very typical. She's having all these ideas. And after this trade, suddenly White is having a better game. That strong knight disappears. And even the next phase, right? I think she will play for e5 at some point to activate the bishop. Again, time and time again, we see the bishop on c8 being a bad piece, and piece issues again from the opponent's perspective. Yeah, this e5 is quite nice. Again, strategic, and it's converting to an attack on the king side. Bykova. Now we are looking at the third world champion, Elisaveta Bykova, and that's one of her nice games. Again, after takes, the problem is after d4, the bishop is on the crossroads. The king side will be deserted if she goes to here. Otherwise, it's still quite a bad position for black. Not to mention like ideas like d5 in this position, maybe even knight a4 to b6. I did some analysis in this one. So it's really a bad position for black to play. That's why she plays the move bishop d6, but this means the king is become weakened. And you see, knight e4 is coming, a pawn sacrifice, but already it's a huge compensation for white. And that's already a mistake. And comes the next phase, guys. You can start video here. White to play and win. White to play and win. This pawn is potentially a loose pawn on the f-file. Also the alignment between the queen and the king. And the rook is an overworked piece, potentially. So please combine these two factors, and I'm sure you'll find the move knight e8. Right? A nice finish in the end. Like tactics flow from good positions. You have to take that knight, but then f7 drops, and I take the rook on e8. Not to mention other ideas like rook f4 followed by rook h4 mate ideas, right? You have to sacrifice the queen and so on. So look how she converts the advantage by this timely e5 and exploiting this little strategic mistake of knight b3 in this case. Yeah, very nice. If she goes d5, of course, the problem is this is dropping and white is still having a huge advantage. So another nice pawn break to activate. I love such multi-purpose pawn moves, that has so many functions basically. So I also like this one from this.
I think that's a nice choice of
Yeah.
a game by Elisaveta Bykova. She wasn't as aggressive as her predecessor, as
Yeah.
Lyudmila Rudenko, but she was a bit more positional. But also she was very flexible in the sense that she was more like she would play the player, I think.
Aha, yeah, that's what you mentioned with the Lasker, like psychology. Aha.
Yes, I
Interesting.
think she was more pragmatic in that sense.
Interesting. So yeah, she was flexible when it comes to opening choices and
Like
so on.
even the knight c1, knight b3, like I feel that I know it's pretty standard, but that is not something that I would go for. Like
Right.
I would
Yeah.
probably do castle or like some
100%.
I
Yeah.
don't know, other things.
That also looks quite logical actually. But that's interesting. She almost like, when it comes to stylistic choices, I think you're right, because she almost bets that black will exchange those knights on b3. Maybe she knows like the opponent's style somehow, yeah? Because taking is obviously a mistake, but maybe that's also part of her preparation, that she might think that the opponent might fall for the strategic mistake, so to speak. And then she will get this advantageous position in the end. Yeah. But quite nice, even queen f2, right? Targeting c5, potentially eyeing f5. Yeah, another multi-purpose move, this queen f2. This little maneuvering of the pieces.
And I don't even think that it's possible to play b6 here, no? Because
because of e5 and so on, or what? The knight is getting loose. And maybe, although there's d5 options here, maybe it's not so clear. But yeah, that's actually interesting.
f5, maybe f5 here.
Maybe f5 after this, directly. Could be. Because if you take, then the bishop activates. Yes. With some f6 ideas in mind. 100%. Yeah. It looks risky for black. This position already looks very risky. But yeah, e5 is already quite powerful. I mean, this is the point. Yeah, so very interesting battle so far. That's what we saw like in a couple of world champions. Like strategy at some point converts to an attack on the king side. And when it comes to Rubtsova, she's the third world champion, right? Olga.
The fourth.
Olga
She's the
Rubtsova.
fourth.
Yeah, she's the fourth one. She's
Yes.
playing against the Berta Vaisberg in this game. Sicilian battle, let's see. Ah,
And
Dragon,
actually,
of course.
there is
Dragon.
something so interesting about. I feel like there are a couple of things interesting about her. But did you know that Olga Rubtsova has been the only chess player, man or woman, to win both in classical chess but also in correspondence chess?
Seriously, I didn't know
Yes.
that.
So after she
Wow.
after she lost, her world title, she got into correspondence chess, and she was
She
good
became a
at
champion as well. Amazing.
Yes.
So multifaceted woman that we see so far. Yeah.
And she's mom to a woman grandmaster.
Really? Uh-huh.
Yes, someone who also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she also became a Soviet women's champion, woman grandmaster Yelena Fatalivekova. I don't know how to pronounce it, but her.
Okay, not the same surname, but she became.
And there is a tournament. I feel like, yeah. I think there is a tournament in her honor every year.
Amazing. Yeah. Legacy continues.
Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah, and again, like if you look at this game, it's like Fischer. Like against Dragon, you play h4, h5, you sack and mate. Those kind of ideas are now coming into fruit on the king side. Again, bishop h6, exchanging the main defender and preparing an attack. She keeps the king in the center. That's interesting. She doesn't even need to castle long yet. H file has been opened up. And even this next phase, right? Like all these moves are standard, but even this next phase, maybe I can ask my people to stop and find a plan for white. So how do you, let's say, organize an attack on the king side? How do you improve? Of course, long castle. Finally, the final rook is coming to the picture. But this next move, I think, is the key. If I'm not wrong, she plays this right now, yeah? This g5. Oh, first she kicks the bishop, I was wrong. And then g5. Yes, this is the idea. g5 at some point, the knight moves to h5. And comes my question, what do we do as white in this position? Another standard pattern. There's so many standard ideas in chess, yeah, these attacking ideas. h4, h5, sack, and mate. Exchange sacrifice on h5. But what's the follow-up? g6, right? You open the g file by force. And also to activate this rook, I would say, on the g file against the black king. Again, we see the timing. Also, this knight can potentially hop to d5. That knight can hop to f5. You see the bishop is also sort of offside on a6 in this position. That's probably why she plays b3 first. And yeah, rook g1. She's not in a hurry. She might take on h7 on the next turn. e6 to stop both knights from moving forward. But I believe now she can take, she can actually take on e6. Maybe I should have stopped here. But this is quite nice, right? This take on e6. The point is that it's a nice finish again. If the queen takes, then comes this move with check, which means your rook is dropping on the next turn. Not to mention queens are eyeing each other. It's a beautiful finish actually, this knight e6. And that's how the game went. Takes. And here, right? How do we finish off this game actually? Right now, well, black is in exchange still, but their king is quite naked. So maybe we can stop video here and find the finish for white. I would say this knight, right, is our worst placed piece. Knight d5 doesn't hurt if we don't face any threat to get the knight involved. Unless you see a direct finish of queen h6, which I don't really see. How do we finish off that position after king g8? So probably knight d5, right, Luciana? Like, give task to your pieces, as you mentioned. Just make everybody involved. And she plays knight d5. It's a beautiful position, actually, yeah? Just look at those knights. Rook g8, what else? Check. And here, a nice transposition to the endgame, I would say, yeah? A nice calculation. This is, of course, the easiest part. Just very forcing. Fork. And then she converts the advantage to an endgame with 2 extra pawns. With a much better position. I think she resigned, right? Also, the pawn on d6 is weak. And I guess she could, I mean, just trust her skills to finish off this one. Also, the bishop is quite poor. Is it even c4, Luciana? Like art of burying pieces or something? Or yeah, I don't want to continue from here. It looks quite lost.
I don't recall if it finishes here or
Maybe
if
she resigns after this already.
Yes, c4 might be.
Yeah, this looks like, okay, the final nail in the coffin. Yeah. But quite a beautiful dragon game again. Like talking about those standard patterns, we see once again. Was she also like very aggressive in style? This Rubtsova?
Yes.
Yeah, she likes
Both
to attack.
Rubtsova and Rudenko were more aggressive.
Were more aggressive than
Menchik and
Menchik.
Bykova.
Yeah, I mean, like Gaprindashvili, we can show so many games when it comes to Nona Gaprindashvili, and again, like you can go and check yourself. But this one against Beliavsky really impressed me because of this positional setups and positional ideas that she was showing in a couple of occasions. Not move by move, but I will just show with the typical ideas, typical style of her. Preparing f4 as well in those structures. a4 to cement the square on the b5. Like positional struggle starts already here. f4, knight b4. Of course, Beliavsky is a great player as well, so he's playing very well. And bishop c4, knight b5, getting the outpost on b5. I think the real struggle is starting a little bit later than this. Bishop h4 also is an interesting move. So maybe at some point to kick the queen with bishop f2 and so on. Just keeping it flexible. Right, white is a beautiful knight on b5. Rook d1, final piece. Queen c4. Is she going for a queen trade in this position? Or keeping the queens on the board?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? She's a very aggressive player, or she wants to exchange on her own terms. That's also interesting.
Okay.
Right? So that's already interesting decision, for example. Like she's trusting this position for white. Like everything is protected. The knight is quite beautiful on b5. Later on, she can kick that knight with some c3s. e5s are in the air, potentially as well. So she's probably right about this position as well. But Beliavsky doesn't take on e2. Now she takes, and we reach this endgame. And she sort of outplays Beliavsky from this position, which is actually quite impressive. This e5 to chase the knight away, accepting, let's say, a weak pawn on e5. Many players would not go here because, well, the pawn will be weak. They might wonder. But we also gain some good square for your pieces. Yeah, this e4, for example, potential d5, potentially the 7th rank for the rook. You see the point of this. Again, I don't see the moves, guys. I'm just trying to guess the moves of Nona, like on the go. Bishop g3 to defend the pawn on e5. And I guess the point is she will... that's the point. Because now the knight on g4 is becoming a trouble piece, potentially. Yeah, because I defend my pawn, and now the burying operation will start very, very soon on that knight, actually. Yeah, knight h6. Now I think she will start this burial operation very, very soon. After takes, bishop f2. Well, maybe that's the first point of this move, but I think the hidden point is to pave the way for the pawn to move to g4 at some point. Rook e4, again, trying to dominate that knight from reaching d4. It's all about domination right now, guys, actually. This segment is quite beautiful. Defending the bishop as well. Everything is protected, and then g4 is coming. And that knight will be the main problem for black. Yes, I was right. g4, knight a6. This could also go to my course on Chessable, the art of burying pieces. That knight is the main problem, Lucian. I love such games, by the way, like positional squeeze, like slowly moving the pieces away and slowly squeezing, chasing the rook as well. Yeah, this is a beautiful game. And even knight c4, right? Like that was the final point of this move, knight a3. Look at knight on c4. It's a beautiful location for this piece. So positional evaluation, I think, right now is quite nice to have. The main problem is the knight on h6 for black, and also some targets for white, potentially. So yeah, it's a positionally like a beautiful game to observe.
But it's interesting how, for many moves now, she kept a knight on a3.
Yes.
And it seemed like, it's actually equal in a way that, the knight on h6 is buried, but so is the knight on a3. However, the minute the knight came back, the knight from before came back, then boom, she
100%. The knight has much more potential in this position than the knight on h6. It's very difficult to make use of this knight on h6. Also, the bishop is tied down on that terrible knight as well, which we never want to do in chess, right? So yeah, it's such a beautiful maneuvering happening here. And again, like judgment-wise, white is better because of the knight problem for black. Knight b5. Look at the improvement, yeah? Beliavsky had to defend the pawn on a5. By hitting the pawn, you're tying down the opponent's pieces as well. And even the bishop is not so happy. The knight is not so happy here. It's quite nice to observe. Oh, g5. Look at this. Okay, g5 is the sort of a final nail in terms of burying pieces pattern.
Two buried pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I love such moves, you know? It's so artistic to see moves like this. g5, look at this. Amazing. Amazing. And against Beliavsky, I mean, like, one of the strongest players, actually, at that time. It's just so amazing, guys, to see a grandmaster like this.
Nona was a machine. She was not afraid. She was playing some great games. Beliavsky was probably at his prime in this time, no?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So this game is probably around his prime. Absolutely correct. Beliavsky's prime. You see, like, the position is so bad for black is that the only way for the knight to come to the game is to play e6. But the drawback of e6 is you're giving me this beautiful d6 outpost for my knights. You see, like, that's a deadlock for black. Black has no way to get this knight involved without giving a huge concession. And once knight d6 is allowed, then the problem is this. The pawn on b7 is the problem. Not to mention the pawn on a5, right? Like, two attackers already on that pawn, and now that's a final attacker on the pawn on b7. So black is dropping a pawn by force in this position. Just amazing final position, actually. Takes. Did he resign? I think he will resign soon, yeah? The bishop drops back. Bishop d6. Oof. Look at the bishop. Now the bishop is doing everything, like guarding e5, stopping all these ideas. Okay, this is becoming too much, yeah? And he resigned here, actually. Beliavsky got seen enough. He's seen enough in this position. Just resigned. Probably totally justified too. You know, down a pawn with great compensation for white on top of everything, actually. So yeah, when I saw this game, like, on top of her amazing attacking games, this had to be included in this one, Luciana. So I think you also got this one.
Very interesting choice of game with this one. Very uncharacteristic, not uncharacteristic, but I think that her style is mostly, you know, very aggressive. But you just showed like a beautiful gem of a game.
I love such games, you know. As a
dominating positionally. Beliavsky at his prime.
In his prime, you know, just amazing to see games like this. You see, her rating was this, and Beliavsky's rating was, of course, at that time there were whole different rating ranges. Of course, we can't compare them with the current ratings. So it's around 1977. Yeah, Beliavsky was very, very strong at this time.
Very strong already. Yeah.
Huge game from Nona, and she kept the title for like 16 years, and she's still active, right? She's still at the age of 80. She's active. It's amazing.
She's an octogenarian, I believe.
Yeah.
She's in her 80s, but still enjoying chess. Actually, I played with her.
Really?
Yes. So at the Elisa World Championship that you mentioned, they had like a side Blitz tournament, and she loves Blitz.
Okay.
And as you know, I got eliminated by Katerina Lagno in like the first round. So we played our match in the very first round. So I played the Blitz tournament, and I'm pretty sure that we played. For sure we played. Now I don't remember the game, and I also don't 100% remember the result. I feel like I must have lost, because I will remember if I had won, right? Like, oh, I beat the former women's world champion Nona.
Of course.
So
it's amazing that you played against the legends.
Yes. Yeah. Who knew that, you know, years later I would be writing.
You would write a book about her games as well.
Yes. Yeah. It's such an honor, really.
Such an honor. If she's listening, respect to you, Nona.
Much respect to you, ma'am.
Yes. And finally, of course, we have to finish up with another queen of the chessboard. White to play, Luciana. White to play. I mean, unfortunately, like, I was searching for your games, right? I was searching for your games. I couldn't find one because of your other name on Spanish, right? So, well, this had to be settled for this one. Maybe it's not so exciting for my audience. Well, he will change your mind soon. That's another queen of the chessboard. White to play, guys. And you can stop the video here and maybe tell us Luciana's plan in this position with the white pieces. Luciana with the white pieces, playing in a classical game. And you can set the stage, Luciana. Where is this game from? How many years ago did you play this game? Set the context, please.
So I'm playing this game in Sao Paulo. I have played chess in many countries, but one of the countries that I love the most playing chess in is Brazil.
Yes.
So this game actually was in the Sao Paulo xadrez, in the chess club of Sao Paulo, which is this centenarian organization. It's this, I love it. It's very cozy. It's a place where there's, I don't know if there still are, but there are like glass walls. So the tournaments are played inside, and the spectators can see from outside.
Amazing.
And this was a closed tournament, a round robin, and I'm facing an international master from Brazil. He played very unambitiously. Like I feel like he underestimated me a lot. So I played aggressively, and I, started to improve my pieces. So I have now this position, as you can see, all of my pieces have very active positions, and most of them are already placed dangerously close to the king side.
100%.
And those squares around the king are particularly weak because my opponent decided to play g6, and there is not a bishop on g7, but also that the white squares, like those pawns in white squares, are going to be vulnerable.
Exactly. Attacked already. Yes.
Yeah.
There are loose pawns here, right? Because it's attacked twice and guarded twice. That's a definition of a loose piece or pawn. Same here, f7. That's a loose pawn potentially. And even e6, right? When you look at this position, even e6, there's so much pressure on the pawn on e6. And potentially even like f7 sacrifice followed by queen e6. So, of course, strong players, I see these things quickly in the calculation process. You see that there's something, right? This is the feeling. Like white might have something in this position, like a sacrificial idea, like a decisive blow, given the piece concentration on the king side. And, well, if you stop the video, guys, if you dig deeper, give your best to this position. I'm sure you found Luciana's move. At least most of you might have considered Luciana's move. Rook takes e6. Am I right, Luciana? Am I right? Rook takes e6. Yes, this was your move.
No, I think here that the key is to find what to do with white if black plays the next move, no? Queen c8.
Right, queen c8. Really strong players see the best move for the opponent because, well, you're creating an alignment on that diagonal, right? This is the key, I think, about this calculation. That's why this is so beautiful, this position. Because if you only calculate the sequence, that's probably easy, for us to understand, Luciana. I mean, well, this is probably just game over very, very soon, right? Or is it getting too late?
King knight e6.
Knight e6.
Losing
that's
the
the
queen.
First point, right? Couple of ideas, couple of threats, you lose. And the same is for this, because of this cover attacks. I mean, there must be something devastating. Not to mention knight e6 check, of course. So that's the first point. And the same with king h8, knight f7, I think, at the very least. We pick up the queen. So strong players can see this relatively quickly if they accept this sacrifice. But really strong players also look actively for annoying ideas by the opponent like this, right? Like what if they offer a queen trade, let's say, if you move the rook from that position.
Yeah, and right? that's also like it could be a choice, right? You can call it a day, retreat your rook, keep an extra pawn,
at the very least,
and try to win the endgame, no, with the extra pawn.
100%.
But if you're more ambitious, you find something else.
Okay, let's find something else, guys. It's been a while since I looked at this position, so I'm also thinking as we go, so to speak, in this position. Let's see. Could that be, Luciana, could that be the move bishop f5 here?
Yes.
Bishop f5 is the move, right?
Yes.
What is the point of bishop f5, if I might ask you? Like, what if they take us on f5 with the pawn?
If they take on f5, then rook takes f6, eliminating the defense of h7.
100%.
So you want to, that's what you want to do. You want to take on f6, but you don't want to trade
100%.
queens.
100%. It's so beautiful. It's like, progressive deepening in some sense. You want to take the knight followed by queen h7. That's what you want to do. That was one of the ideas behind rook e6, by the way. But you don't want a queen trade. It will be lovely, right? It will be lovely to somehow avoid this move queen h3 at that moment. then everything will be perfect for us. That's a function of this move, bishop f5 actually. So you actually want to induce a pawn on f5, so this move becomes an option, followed by queen h7 mate on the next turn. It's so beautiful. And you see why Luciana sacrificed the bishop? Because now the pawn is blocking the queen's access. And if you don't take my bishop, but take the rook, this gains strength, right? That's a final point of this beautiful move, bishop f5. Again, like very short calculations, in fact. Yeah, both lines are actually quite short, not that like deep calculation. But you look at the right direction. You want to eliminate that knight, and you don't want to allow this queen trade, right? Like this is a bummer for us because this rook has no great move, like intermediate check, for example. You have to give in this position. You don't want to allow this. But bishop f5. So you calculated the entire thing from this position, right, Luciana?
Yes.
Like all these moves were calculated already from this first position.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
cool.
I am very fond of this game.
This is amazing.
Always.
It's such a beautiful game. Yeah, all the geometries and so on. It's so lovely to see. And that's
I think
the game
I was
combination.
18. I was 18 years
You were
old.
18 only. Wow.
Yeah.
A child prodigy you were, Luciana. Amazing.
Thank you. Well, I also remember that because of that I told you that there were spectators, you know, it was like this sort of fishbowl
Right.
situation. I also felt like inspired to do something.
Oh,
for
of course. Playing for the audience, right? They are following your game. Yeah. Stakes are high. Yeah,
Yes.
and then, I mean, the game goes on, right? He goes knight h5 in this position.
Yes.
to-
So at this
to clock.
point, there is this peculiarity that 3 pieces of white are under attack.
Oh, yeah.
But
Look at
the
those.
next move is
Oh, you're like Mikhail Tal. They can take only one at a time. Yeah, that's your
Yes.
motto. Right. That's why. Oh my God, what was your next move here? I'm getting confused here, Luciana. There's so many potentially good-looking ideas for white, of course. I wonder what you played in this position. I wonder what you played. Well, I mean, of course, I'm looking at rook g6 followed by bishop c8.
yeah, that's the
Right? That's a solution, right? Well,
Yeah.
that was the final point, of course, of the move bishop f5, the multi-purpose move. If the knight moves, then this allows this rook g6 check, this covered check, followed by taking the queen. Yeah, we have enough material, right? Like there are no shenanigans like with knight f4 and so on because of bishop queen h7, followed by queen f7 mate. Yeah, the knight cannot move. Beautiful. So we have extra material in this position as white. And you converted this quite nicely. Wow, even g4, of course. If they take the bishop, then they get mated. Aggression. Knight f6 is the only move. Oh, then you play normal, like you play technical phase right now. c3. Nice. Nothing to show, nothing to risk. And you consolidate slowly, yeah? Rook h8. Wow.
Well, here, yes,
Wow.
well,
Look at this. Okay,
I
tell us,
do
please.
feel like I
What's
should
going
have
on?
kept my queen, you know, in retrospect, that wasn't that. I
Just-
feel like
just
that
queen
wasn't
F3,
the
just play
most
simple-
brilliant
simple chess.
continuation.
Yeah.
But at that time, like I felt that I have, with 2 extra pawns, I can definitely convert. It will be a more boring game from now on, but at least I had like a brilliant moment earlier. I don't know, I went for queen takes h8.
Yeah, well, queens of the chessboard. This game would not be enough without the queen sacrifice in some sense. Well, yeah, you just give up your queen like that and take the bishop on e7. Yeah, this is your vision, right? Like you convert this to 2 extra pawn advantage.
2
with a
extra
much
pawns.
better-
2 extra
much
pawns,
better
but also
pieces.
black's pieces are so
Yeah.
dislocated. The knight on
Yes.
a5 is
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Also, this is hanging. The
pawn
bishop
on
is
dc,
excellent.
pawn on
Yeah. I think this
f7.
is totally justified, like in terms of technical phase. Yeah, once you identify this position as winning for whites, yeah, there's nothing wrong with going this way. Oh, I like rook c7. You sort of also fight against this knight. It's called knight check shadow, this distance between the rook and the knight. So technical.
What is it called?
Knight Check Shadow by Carsten Müller,
Oh.
right? I'm working a blunder check course these days, so I have to make sure we don't allow knight forks. That's a very good distance to tame the enemy knight, right? This knight
Oh.
needs a minimum of 4 moves to reach c7. So when there's only, let's say, 1 square diagonal between the piece and the knight, then it's a very safe distance. Carsten Müller comes up with the term knight check shadow. It's a German term originally. He translates to English directly. That's why it sounds a little bit strange, yeah? But you're sort of shadowing yourself from knight checks, from this safe distance.
Well,
But your
thank you.
brain knows it.
learning
Your
something.
brain knows it, just like Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, he says, I don't know the names, I just know the patterns. So you know the pattern probably already, Luciana, without giving a name. You're taming the knight with rook
It's
c7.
Priom, no?
Priom, yes, you know the priom already. Knight e6 as well, to guard the bishop, as well as moving the knight to a beautiful spot. And he resigned in his position, right? Because everything is sort of hanging. This is hanging, this is also coming. He has no counterplay. That's guarded. Yeah, it's probably justified to resign. Yeah, beautiful game. I mean, Luciana, again, like if you go back to this initial position, well, I mean, that part might be easier for many, especially if I tell them that's a puzzle, right? Otherwise, it might be difficult to come up with. But the real deal is to calculate this resource of queen c8 and bishop f5. But nice build up and nice conversion in the end. So that's the game that I mainly found. And well, I will be definitely looking at your other games, of course, in database. If I type your name and surname combination correctly, hopefully when we meet again next time, this could be I can give you more positions, so to speak. Yes, I mean, again, Luciana, it's been already like almost 2 hours. That's crazy. So let's have some meetings as well, right? I need to go to sleep as well. So let's wrap it up slowly. But I really enjoyed it. Really thank you so much for coming on this very special day for me and joining my podcast, Luciana. I totally enjoyed our discussion.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great time talking all things chess and projects, and this part was super instructive. I mean, yes, I didn't know the name. I knew that the concept, but it's very interesting. The games that you picked from the women's world champions, they all had this common denominator of the positional understanding. So very cool.
That's
and yes, I'm aware that you are a positional
100%
player yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm now working on my next course on the workbook for the art of series, right? I wrote 4 courses on the art of series. Now this will be a workbook, basically, like a mixed puzzle of all the arts that you don't know which art to do. So that's why I was looking at the games with this angle as well. You know, can I find some good positions for my next course? I might use some from some of today's positions.
I think you will find several good candidates.
Yes, and I'll be thanking you in that course for showing me,
thank you,
highlighting some of those moves to me. Yes, our podcast episode as well.
Thank
Guys, I hope you enjoyed Luciana's company here. Please go and check her course, Queens of the Chessboard on Chessable. I got it myself. I'm still reading it. This has been a crazy busy month for me, so I will just sit down from next month and thoroughly go through the course, reading your annotations and ideas, Luciana. Also, we should thank Brian Tillis, your co-author for that course, for helping you for this beautiful project. Good luck for your next project on the children book on chess. Can we read it in English as well? It's only in Spanish, by the way.
It was first written in Spanish, but the idea is to publish it in both languages. Yes, in English and in Spanish.
Nice, and I can read it to my son here. And yeah, looking forward to the publication day as well. And we keep in touch, otherwise, on social media, following your memes, as always. And we will take it from there.
Little videos on Instagram.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Also, Instagram videos, guys. She's very active on Instagram as well, Luciana. Go check her profile as well. Follow her on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. She's very active as a coach, as a person. Thank you again for all the beautiful tips on Chessable Classroom today. I'll start implementing it with my lessons, Luciana. Wishing you a great day otherwise. Hope to see you again. This is just beginning my podcast episodes. We will see each other again in the future, hopefully. Right?
Fantastic. It's such a pleasure, Sean. I congratulate you also. It's such a great day.
It's an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining me today and celebrating together in this amazing day. Historical day, personally, for me. Yes. And thank you so much for all your contributions.
February the 6th. Well, I don't know. I mean,
Friday, February the 6th, actually. That's the 40th year anniversary of my parents' wedding anniversary as well. It's been 40 years today. So it's a very special day for the entire family that will be celebrated. Yes.
All right.
Wishing you a great day, and I will catch you again. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Take care. Bye.